Hari Om. This is a story as told by Sri Swami Satchidananda from his book Enlightening Tales. The story is called It's All for Good, read by Reverend Lakshmi Suzinski. Once upon a time there was a king who had a wonderful wise minister. The minister was very loyal and devoted to his sovereign, and the king would never leave the palace without the minister at his side. They were always together. One day, as the king was cutting a piece of fruit, he accidentally cut his finger. While it was being treated, he asked the minister why this had happened. "I was being so careful," he explained, "but the knife just seemed to slip all by itself and gave me this deep cut." The minister simply smiled at him and said, "Don't worry, Your Majesty. It's all for good." The king became furious. "What kind of answer is that? I cut my finger. The blood is pouring out, and it hurts so much. Yet you stand there and calmly say it's all for good. If that's all you care for me, I don't want you around any more." The king called for his guards and told them to throw the minister in jail. As he was being taken away, the minister simply said, "As you wish, Your Majesty. No doubt this also is for good." And he quietly submitted to the imprisonment. Several days later, the king decided to go hunting. He went far into the forest with a large group of companions. At one point, he started chasing a beautiful deer. Since his horse was the fastest one, he was soon way ahead of the rest of his party. Still, the deer managed to escape. Before he knew it, the king had gone very deep into the jungle and was lost. Fortunately, the king had been on many adventures and he stayed calm. But he was very tired and thirsty. Nearby there was a big green tree with a small brook running past it. He drank his fill of water and then leaned against the tree and fell fast asleep in the shade. After a while he was awakened by a rustling sound. He slowly opened his eyes, and what he saw made him freeze. A huge lion was standing right next to him, and it was sniffing his body. The king didn't know what to do, so he just sat still, watching the lion. The lion continued to sniff him all over. Then suddenly, as it was sniffing one of the king's hands, it drew back, snorted, and ran away. The king was amazed at his good fortune. Of course, he had been so frightened that there was plenty of adrenaline pumping. He was wide awake now. He leaped up and began shouting for his hunting companions, and eventually they found him. "Listen," he told them, "a lion came while I was sleeping. It was a huge and ferocious lion. It was all ready to eat me, but something mysterious happened. All of a sudden, it just ran off." "That's wonderful," they exclaimed. "What luck!" But none of them could explain what had happened. Then the king remembered his wise minister, who had always been able to explain such things. When they returned to the palace, he had the minister brought from jail. He had told him the whole story to the last detail. The minister simply said, "It's all for good, Your Majesty." "What do you mean it's all for good? That doesn't explain why the lion just went away without even biting me. What is the reason for this?" "Your Majesty, the lion is the king of the beasts, just as you are king of people. When somebody offers you a fruit, it should be a clean and unblemished one. The lion wants his food that way too. When it came and looked at you and sniffed you, it could tell there was something wrong. The minute it smelled the cut finger, it knew that you were not fit for the king of beasts. So you see, sire, the cut finger saved your life." Now do you understand that it's all for good? You're absolutely right, the king replied. As soon as the lion sniffed my hand, it snorted as if in disgust, and then it ran off. You knew what you were saying all along. Oh, I am so sorry that I had locked you up. But tell me something. As they took you off to jail, you said, "This also is for good." What is the good that happened by your imprisonment? Your Majesty, the minister replied, you know that, ordinarily, we are never separated. Surely I would have been with you on the hunt, and you would have raced after all through the jungle. Then we would have been both sleeping under the tree when the lion arrived. He would still have rejected you, but he probably would have swallowed me because I had no cuts. Because you put me in jail, my life was saved. So you see, it's all for good. Adversities are blessings in disguise. You may not be able to see the benefits until much later, but it is there. Have faith in the positive outcome. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light.